This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, let us begin. So first, let's talk about what is SAP FICO and what you are going to learn from me during your training tenure. So later on, we will be talking about different points that you need to know about SAP, that you need to know about your training, that you need to know about your jobs and all the subsequent points until you get a job, and then until you are able to gain the confidence to sustain, to survive in your job. In general, when we talk about SAP FICO, we will start from SAP. We will start from SAP and then we will talk about ERP. And we will be talking about evolution of SAP, what is R3, what is S4 HANA, what is S by 4 and all, which I am not going to talk now. I'm not going to talk about what is SAP. I'm not going to talk about what is ERP. Instead, straight away we'll be on the dot. What you are going to learn from SAP, how this is going to help you in your career. And when you're talking about learning SAP, what should be your prerequisite, what areas you need to put in your efforts, and how you need to prepare, how you need to practice. What exactly is the requirement in the market from a FICO consultant, and what is expected from you, and what you're supposed to know, and what you're not supposed to know during your training, during your preparation. We will be talking practically in general. As as it happens in the reality, we will be talking honestly. Okay. So normally when you talk about SAP FICO, first point that you should keep in your mind is this is related to accounting. First thing that we should keep in our mind is when you talk about SAP FICO, this is related to accounting, which means if you want to learn SAP FICO or if you want to become a SAP FICO consultant, you must be aware of accounting. When we talk about you must be aware of accounting, there is no rule that you must be from accounting background or there is no rule that you must be from finance background. You need not study accounting or finance in your academics. You need not have any experience on accounting, finance in your previous experience. But you must be aware of accounting. In general, you must have at least some basic knowledge about accounting. This is first mandatory point that you need to keep in your mind before you step into learning SAP FICO. If you are not knowing the accounting or if you're not aware of accounting, whatever you learn in SAP FICO, you cannot deliver it to your client, or you will not be able to understand what discussion or what is the requirement your client is providing. What your users are talking is not possible to understand if you are not good at accounting. When you're talking about not good at accounting, if you're not able to understand. Clear? Huh? First point is your accounting.
Yes.
So you must start from accounting. If there is no accounting in your mind, you're not supposed to think about SAP FICO. If accounting is not there in the picture, SAP FICO will be out of the scope. This is as simple as that. Accounting is mandatory for SAP FICO. When we talk about accounting, I'm again repeating, no accounting experience, no accounting background, but yes, accounting knowledge is mandatory. Not in-depth accounting knowledge, basic accounting knowledge is mandatory because you're not going to work as an end user. You are going to work as a SAP consultant. To become a SAP consultant, to be able to understand what you are doing, why you are doing, whether what you are doing is right or wrong, you must be verifying by way of accounting. Accounting is the tool to validate whether what you are doing is right or wrong. If you have no accounting in the picture, you do not know whether what you are doing is correct or wrong. Right? So maybe your perception could be different, but from now on I want you to focus on what I'm talking about and why I'm talking about these points. This is the mandatory point. This is mandatory point. Let me put this in green. You'll be proceeding further only if you cross these green lines. Second one is basic knowledge about system. When I say basic knowledge about system, I mean you must be proficient enough to handle a system. When I say system, I mean the operating the system. You are able to log into the system, you are able to work on different applications parallelly, you are able to open different websites, or you're able to open different applications. Because the way you use any other application, any other website, in the similar way you are going to use SAP. In the similar way you are going to use SAP. If you are able to manage your system in a proficient way, at least you are able to handle your system, then that is sufficient, which means basic knowledge about system. The point why I'm mentioning here is there are certain people who will be fresh pass outs. There are certain people who will be fresh pass outs, let's say BCom pass out or commerce graduate, MBA graduates, MCom graduates, who may not be aware of how to operate the system. Because some may be aware, some may not be aware of it, but this is one of the mandatory point to be able to learn SAP FICO. Because you are able to work on SAP FICO on the system, make sure you're comfortable, you're confident on the system. I'm only mentioning on the system, I'm not mentioning SAP. If you are comfortable on the system, automatically you will be comfortable on SAP as well. This is second point. Third point, basic business process. When I talk about basic business process, you must be in a position to think from business point of view. When I say you must be in a position to think from business point of view, if you're talking about any business, if you're talking about any business, first of all, you should know what is the intention of doing any business. In general, the intention of any business is to make profit, correct? Is that right? The intention of making or doing any business is to make profit. Now, in order to make profit, what you need to do? You're talking about business. In business, you want to make profit. Nobody wants to get loss from the business. Everybody wants to get profit from the business. In order to get profit from the business, what we need to do? This can be any business. We're not specifically talking about any particular business. This can be any business. If you're talking about a business and your intention behind doing any business is to make profit, how you are going to make profit? To get the profit, what you need to do?
You must know the process.
What do I do to get a profit? I need to do a sale, correct?
Sales
If I do a
minus
sale,
COGS.
right. So in general, I need to do a sale to get the profit. Now, before I do a sale, what do I need?
You incur
Is
cost.
it possible to sell?
Inventory.
Procure the material to make the goods.
So I need to have a material. How do I get my material? Option number one, I need to purchase the material. Option number two, I need to produce the material. Either I need to produce a material or I need to purchase a material. To purchase the material or to produce the material, I need to make sure I have sufficient funds with me. To have funds, I need to have finance or accounting, correct? Now, if you see, everything will have a straight connection. Now, I'll not be able to sell if I don't have any product. Product, how I will be getting? I'll be getting a product either by purchasing it or by producing it. Now, in order to purchase or in order to produce it, I need finance, or in short, I need accounting or I need money. Now, like this, if you think from a business point of view, you can take any example of your choice. You can take any example of your choice. The point here that we need to keep in our mind is how you are able to get a profit. How are we able to make profit and how this is happening? If you are able to understand this basic outlines from the accounting, the same basic outlines will be a little broader way you are doing it in SAP. Because in SAP, whatever you are doing in the system, you are going to implement for a particular business. Business, we are talking about an organization or a company. Company, they will be doing sales because every company will make profits. Every company will make profits by way of sales. So every company will have a product or a service that is sold in the market. How a company is getting their product or service that is sold in the market? Either they purchase it or they produce it. So to purchase it, to produce it, they need finance. So finance is all about accounting. To manage your entire organization, you need different other business processes. Like you need manpower. To manage your manpower, you need human resources. To produce the to produce the material and all, you need big machineries and all your machineries and all are managed at plant level. So you will be having plant and machinery, different other equipments. So everything, if you start listing out, if you start jotting down the points, you will come to know, okay, there are so many points that are interlinked. Now we are not supposed to think from a complicated examples. We're not supposed to think from a complicated or so technical related terminologies in your examples, because the intention is to make sure you are able to connect to the point, you are able to understand what is happening. Whatever the way that you are able to understand, at the same way, at that level only, you need to take your examples. Because first point or first level is to make sure you are able to understand what is what. Once you are able to understand what is what, then based on that basic level understanding, you are going to drill down, you are going to understand at a broader level. Now, once you know about basic business process, because if you do not know the basic business process, it is of no use that what you are doing, why you are doing in SAP. It's not that you go to a particular transaction, you go to a particular configuration, you will do it, but you do not understand why you are doing it. Majorly, that will be the scenario. That should not be the scenario in your case. So you must know why you are doing, at least at base level. You don't need to know at complete level, or not even at 50%, but at least at the beginning. If you know 10% why you are doing this, if you know at least 10% why you are doing it, or at least if you put a question, I am doing like this, but why am I doing this? If you put a question to yourself, you will start receiving the answers automatically. So different questions will start striking your mind, and you will automatically start exploring the system in a different way. Right? So especially this accounting, basic system knowledge, and basic business process is mandatory. These 3 points are mandatory. Now everybody knows what is basic business process. You have to think only from this point of view. Nothing more than this, not required. If you are able to talk from this level, that is more than enough at the beginning, because to understand what we are doing, why we are doing. Yes, somebody has a question.
Yes, I have two of my guys trying to log in. They've been having issues, but one of them says they can't log in.
You are able to see my screen on the system.
No, I have two of my guys trying to get into the class,
Okay.
and they can't. Yeah, they were having issues downloading it. They finally downloaded it, and they try to click on the link, but it says it's not available.
Yes, sir. Even A1 has been trying to get in and it's failing.
One sec. Let me unlock. Yeah, I've unlocked the meeting. They should be able to log in. Just ask them to download GoTo latest version. If they might be using GoTo meeting, it may not be working. Ask them to download GoTo meeting on the system first.
Okay. One of them
Okay,
doesn't
the
even get it.
application, yeah, the application that you are using, they must be downloaded, then they'll be able to log in.
Yeah, what she said was that on the app she couldn't click it on the app, so she told me that she record it and send it. Sorry, like I should ask you if she can send a recording and then she can, pay and all that stuff.
Okay. This session is being recorded. I'll share once the session is completed.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay. So this is the basic points or basic prerequisites that we should have. Only 3 basic prerequisites, nothing beyond this. If you feel that you know the basic accounting and you have intention to know the basic accounting, that is fine. And I hope everybody is able to handle the basic system. Everybody knows about the basic system knowledge, that you can open different applications, you can switch between the different applications. That is fine. And basic business process, if you are able to understand this, that is more than enough. In business, you will make profit. To make profit, you have to sell. To sell it, you need Product, either you need to purchase it or you need to manufacture it. To do it, you need finance. In short, you need the accounting. The rest and all will come into the picture automatically as we progress. Now, after this, let me put certain points. After this, let me put certain points. I'm not getting into SAP content as of now. First, we talked about accounting. We talked about basic accounting first. When you talk about accounting, first, what is accounting? What do you need to know from accounting? How this is related or how this is connected to your SAP FICO? Right now in SAP FICO, normally whenever we talk about, everybody must have already attended the trainings before, or people, most of us may be aware of what is SAP FICO, what is there inside SAP FICO. If you talk about SAP FICO, you will categorize your SAP FICO into two parts. You will be categorizing as FI, you will be categorizing as a CO. When you talk about FI, you will be talking about financial accounting. FI, we will be talking about financial accounting. CO, when you talk about, you will be talking about cost and management accounting. FI is nothing but financial accounting. CO is nothing but cost and management accounting. In short, cost accounting or management accounting. FI, you have financials, financial accounting, and CO is nothing but your controlling module. Controlling and managing your cost is nothing but your CO module. In financial accounting, from SAP point of view, in controlling module, let us try to list out what points are basically there. If you talk from financial accounting point of view, let's say I'm talking about GL. I'm writing the one words, the shortcuts first, because these terminologies most of us would have heard so many times, which is GL. Next, we would have heard something called AP. You would have heard something called AR. You would have heard something called fixed assets. You would have heard something called cash. You would have heard something called a bank, something related to taxes. Okay, these points you would have heard from the finance point of view or accounting point of view. From the controlling point of view, I'm not sure if you have heard these terms anywhere. Maybe cost centers, profit centers, product costing, COPA. Let me also add cost elements here. Cost element, cost center, profit center, product costing, COPA, internal orders. These points or these terminologies we would have been hearing or we would have heard before joining this course or before, any time before, or I would say in your past you would have heard about these terminologies in any situation. Whenever you talk about GL, we talk something related to general ledger. When you talk about GL, you are representing this is general ledger. Similarly, when you talk about AP, you are talking about accounts payable. If you talk about AR, you are talking about accounts receivable. Fixed assets is nothing but assets. Cash is all about your cash accounts. Bank is all about your bank accounts. Taxes, this may be sales, purchase and withholding tax. These terminologies we would have heard. Everybody is aware of these things? Yes, no? Most of us are aware of this.
Yes.
Let's say if you're talking about GL or general ledger, normally what is there inside the general ledger, what is there inside GL? Now we must have heard GL so many times when somebody is putting a question, what is GL? So it's easy for us to tell GL is nothing but general ledger. We are just expanding the GL. But in GL, what you are going to do? What is AP? We will be expanding accounts payable so easily, but what is accounts payable? What will you do in accounts payable? Similarly, AR, it's easy to tell accounts receivable, but what do you do in accounts payable? So we will be stuck all of a sudden, we will go blank. We will not be able to explain apart from the full form, apart from the definition. Correct? Majoritarily, this is what will be the situation for most of the people. Similarly, fixed asset, cash account, bank account, taxes. We are not talking from SAP point of view. We are talking only in general point of view. Let's say if I want to talk these points from an organization point of view. In an organization, we understood at the beginning, every organization intention is to make profit. Correct? Agree with me? Every organization intention is to make profit. Whether it is a small organization, whether it is a big organization, your intention at the end of the month is to make sure that you are at profit. How do you know that you are making profit or loss? How do we know that we are making profit or loss? What makes us decide that we are into profits or we are into loss?
Statements.
Sales and
Only if we record the
expenses.
transactions, then only we can
Financial
come to a
statement
conclusion.
version, Ajay.
No, how? I'm not talking from SAP point of view. I'm not into SAP at all.
Financial statements, P&L, financial statements of balance sheet.
Balance sheet.
We
Balance
need
sheet.
to record. We need to record the transactions.
Right. You need to record the transaction. You need to prepare different financial statements, or you need to prepare different reports in order to make sure you are able to derive or you are able to figure out whether you are into profits or you are into losses. Now, is there any sequential order that is to be followed, or I can follow anything left and right as per my choice if I'm an organization, if I'm doing business?
Sequential order.
Sequential order,
Right?
starting
I'll have
from
to follow the
journal.
sequential order. I cannot do whatever I want if I'm doing business, because anything that you're doing business, this is called as legal business. Correct? You're doing a business, which means can I do business without a name?
No.
No.
I cannot do business without a name. If I'm doing a business, I must have a name to my business. Now, can I name whatever I want to my business?
No.
I cannot name whatever I want to my business. Now, even if you want to get a name for your business, there is a procedure. Now, you need to register your name for your business, correct?
Yes.
Without registering a name for your business, you're not supposed to do any business in the market, because you're not doing any illegal business. You're not doing any cheating. You're doing a legal business. In order to do a legal business in the market, you must ensure that your company is legally registered. Am I right? Your company is legally registered. So that is nothing but your company registration. Correct? This is called as company registration. In general, we call it as a CR. In general, you call it as a CR. This company registration is at what level? At what level you are going to register this? Is this registered at a city level, or is this registered at a state level, or is this registered at a country level?
Country level.
Country level.
This is
Country
registered
level.
at a country level. So we need to make sure that your company name is always registered at country level. When you know that your company name is registered at country level, can I duplicate the company name?
No.
No.
I cannot duplicate the company name. So if I'm registering a company name, I need to make sure the same name is not there anywhere at the country. If I'm talking about I want to perform or I want to do business in India. For example, I want to say, let's say Samsung. I want to say Samsung as my company name. I want to register Samsung. Now, if I go to the market, if I want to get this name registered according to whatever the act, legally I want to get this name registered. The moment I go for the registration, I may be getting an information stating that the name is already used by another organization. You cannot register this name, correct? So I need to make sure that the
Yes.
name that I am opting is the unique name. It's as simple as like you create a Google account, you create any Gmail account. You cannot create a Gmail account if that account ID is used by somebody else. Am I correct?
Yes.
Let's say I want to create a Gmail account. Now my Gmail account is, let's say, Ajay123 at gmail.com. If this is my email account, I want to create the same name, or I want to create the same email ID for my purpose. Let's say this is my sentimental code or whatever it is. I want to have the same code. But the moment I try to create this Gmail ID, I will get a message. This is not available, correct?
Yes.
I can do nothing to get this. Am I correct? If I try to
Yes.
get this, that is illegal, not allowed, first of all. What I need to do, if I want to have Ajay123 in my thing, I can put any other thing. Maybe I'll put, let's say, Ajay1234 I'll put, or Ajay123 star I'll put, anything I'll put, but I'll make sure the content that I want is visible on my email ID, correct? I'll add something at the beginning or I'll add something at the end, either a prefix or a suffix. Right? The way you cannot create an email ID with an existing ID, in the similar way, you cannot create a company name with an existing company name. Your company name must be unique, and this company name is created at country level. So this is created at country level. You will be creating a company. Now, how you are going to register this? Is this a legal registration or illegal registration?
Legal.
What kind of registration is it?
Legal.
It's a legal registration. Now, any company that you are registering as per the Companies Act, whatever the Companies Act that is there in the respective country, that is called as your legal entity. Your company name is called as what? It's always called as legal entity. If you're talking about Samsung, Samsung will become your legal entity. Entity means a company or an organization which is legally registered. Now in SAP, whenever you talk about anything related to SAP FICO, your complete SAP FICO is related to company code. Your FICO is incomplete without company code. Your FICO is impossible without company code. Am I correct?
Yes.
Your FICO is incomplete without company code. Now, when I say this, whether you do a configuration, whether you do a transaction posting, whether you generate any report, company code is mandatory. Company code is nothing but legal entity. Company code is what?
Legal
Company
entity.
code is a legal entity. Your legal entity is created at country level. Legal entity is created at country level, and for every legal entity you will have a CR copy. What will be there? You will have a CR copy, company registration copy. Without a CR copy, you will not be creating any legal entity. You cannot do any business without a legal entity. Legal entity is nothing but a company registration. Now, tomorrow if somebody is asking you what is company code, what is your company code, the one word letter they will be expecting from you, whether it is in your interview or anywhere. Whatever the answer you tell is inconvincing or is not convincing if you are not using this term called legal entity. If you're not using a term called a legal entity, whatever the definition you give to your company code is invalid. It's not convincing enough to any person. So you must ensure there are certain terminologies, there are certain words that are to be used from accounting point of view. This legal entity is not SAP terminology. SAP terminology is company code, but before you get into SAP, if you wanted to create a company code, on what basis are you creating a company code? This is your first step to start your SAP FICO practice. If you want to start your practice, you must start from company code onwards. To create a company code, first of all, you should know what is company code. You must have a legal entity in your mind. You must know legal entity is country level. This is nothing but company registration copy or name of your organization, name of your company. You must have at least some company name in your mind for which you are going to create your practice. If you do not have a company name, it is not going to add any value. It is not going to help you understanding SAP FICO. That practice is only going to understand configuration. That practice is only going to understand SAP screen, but not the concept of SAP FICO. If you want to know how to do it, then we can straight away get into the system, start doing whatever comes in our mind. But if you want to know why we are doing it, what makes us to do like this, you must have a company at the first place. You must have a company at the first place, and whenever you take any one company, know about the business process of that company. Know about business process of that company. First, you need to remember the legal entity, which is the company name. Once you know the legal entity company name, start thinking about what is that company business process. What is it all about? If I'm talking about, let's say, Samsung, what do I get from Samsung?
Mobile phones and
Phones, tablets,
electronics.
laptops.
Electronics.
Yet you get electronic products or home appliances. These are the products that you get from Samsung. Now, if I'm creating or if I wanted to take Samsung for my practice purpose, I must know what products are there for Samsung. This is at base level we need to understand. We need not know in depth what is the business process of actual Samsung, not required. At high level, if you see the Samsung in the market, what products Samsung is selling? Samsung, let's say, is selling products like mobile phones, tablets, laptop, accessories, and your home appliances like refrigerators, televisions, air conditioners, and all. Now, Samsung is doing business into different products. Samsung is doing business in different products. All these are called as your line of businesses or product hierarchies. If you open Samsung website or if you open any website, you will find something called our products, correct? If you open any company's website, you will find something called our products and our services, wherein they will list what are all the products that they are providing, what are all the services that they are providing. Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
like this, any company that you're talking about, we must know at least from the base point of view. We need not go in depth. You need not know complete information about it. At least 10% in the beginning you need to keep in your mind. To start with, at least 10% is required. The remaining will come automatically based on your practice, based on your exposure. Once you have any company in your mind, make sure you know the products or services of that particular company in the market. Once you get this information, then you have to decide what company organization structure you are going to define. Whether this company is it operating only in one particular country or this is operating in multiple countries. You may have a particular company operating only in a single country. You may have a particular company which is operating in multiple countries. If I take Samsung, do I find Samsung only in one country or do I find Samsung in multiple countries?
Multiple countries.
So Samsung, you will find it in multiple countries. Now, any company that is operating their business in multiple countries, it is called as a multinational company or we call it as a global company, correct? It's an MNC or it's a global company because they are operating their business in different countries. Now, if I talk about Samsung, let's say if I take India as an example. In India, what is the name of the company? Samsung. In short, I am calling the Samsung as brand now. In India, my brand is Samsung. If I go to US, in US, will Samsung change their name or it will sell with the same name called Samsung?
Same name.
Even in US, or if I go to Singapore or any other country, I will be doing a business with the same name. If I'm changing the
Yes.
country, I'm not changing my name. I am doing the business with the same name because I'm talking about something called a brand. If I talk about Samsung, India, I have a good customer base. In Singapore or in US, in any other country, if I go, based on the customer feedback, people will start judging, okay, this product is good, this brand is good. For you to maintain that, can I manufacture the same product differently in two different countries, or I need to make sure that my product remains the same in all the countries? The quality performance of my product, should it remain same or it should be different in the different countries?
It should be same.
They will remain the same.
It should remain the same because here I'm talking about something called company. I'm talking something about brand. If somebody is using my product in India, if somebody is using my product in some other country, I may be selling the same product. Based on the country, I may be changing the product names, but the product quality, product dimension, everything will be same according to the local regulations. Now, to make sure this, I will be maintaining the same thing, same product, same quality, same service and all. I need to have a process or not,
Yes.
correct? So whatever I do in India, whatever I do in some other country, I need to make sure there is a policy in place, there is a procedure in place which is followed, correct? If I don't have a policy, if I don't have a procedure which is followed commonly at country level or commonly at global level, am I able to meet my expectations from the market? No, right?
No.
If I don't have a policy, if I don't have a process, I will not be able to meet my expectation because I may start receiving the feedback. In India, product is very good. In US, the product is not good. The quality is very good if you purchase from Singapore. The quality is not okay if you purchase it from Africa. The product is not good if you purchase it from, let's say, China, some other countries. But everywhere you're talking about the brand, where it is manufactured is immaterial. From where you're getting the product is immaterial. On the front, you're talking about the brand. If I'm talking about Samsung, I know that wherever Samsung manufactures, wherever Samsung sells, they will be selling or they will be doing the same business process. Their product quality is good, their service is good, or whatever the policies that they have, they are all very good. Now, for you to make sure these kind of a feedback is given or this kind of a feedback you get from the market, you need to have strict policies to be followed across your organization. Now, all these policies that are followed across the organization are nothing but corporate policies, correct? You have something called corporate policy or company policies. Now, these policies are common across your organization irrespective of the location. Whether you operate in India or whether you operate in any other country, these things will remain constant, these things will remain fixed. Similarly, these policies are module specific, these policies are business process specific. If you're talking about finance, if you're talking about controlling, in short, if you're talking about FICO, you're talking about financial accounting, you're talking about controlling or cost and management accounting. Can I perform my financial accounting the way I want if I know accounting? Or I need to follow certain rules and regulations?
You need to follow rules and regulations.
Right? If I know accounting, that is not sufficient. I need to follow the
Yes.
rules and regulations. Now, in every company, whatever the accounting that they do, forget about the application that they are following, whether they are following SAP, whether they are following Oracle or any other application, irrespective of the application, when you're talking about finance, you must do your finance or you must perform your accounting based on certain rules, based on certain regulations. Now, these rules and regulations are governed by accounting principles. Correct? All your accountings are governed by accounting principles. accounting principles or accounting standards. Right? If a company is doing any accounting, if a company is doing business, they must be recording all their financials based on accounting principle or based on accounting standard. You have different accounting principle, you have different accounting standard. It depends based on the country in which you are doing your accounting, based on the country in which you are doing your business operations. Let's say I am doing my business in US. If I am doing business in US, I have to follow the accounting rules and regulations that are given by US government, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Let's say in US you have something called US GAAP. I must follow the rules and regulations that are provided by US GAAP to do my accounting. I cannot say no, I don't follow this, I know accounting, I studied accounting, I do in my own way. Nobody will approve, nobody will authorize your financials, nobody will sign your financials, because at the end of every month you need to prepare your financials. At the end of every month you need to prepare your financials. Your financials are not valid if they are not attested, if they are not authorized by some authorized personnel, correct? So your financials
Yes.
must be approved by the CFO of your organization. From the external, this must be signed by the chartered accountant or the equivalent position person who is evaluating your financials, who will confirm that all the accounting that you have done is as per the regulations that are provided. No fraudulent things are recorded, no manipulations are done. Every information that is recorded, that is displayed on your financials, is genuine, is verified. And these kind of confirmations you will be receiving from the external parties, which is nothing but you have something called audit firms auditing,
Yes.
correct? Every company financials are subject to audit. Yes, no?
Yes.
So every
Yes.
organization will have two auditing departments. One is your internal auditing or interim auditing. The second one is your external auditing. Internal auditing is nothing but within the organization you have internal auditing team who will be verifying whether all your business processes are processing or recorded or happening based on your policies that you have defined at your company level. Anybody is recording transactions or any business transactions are recorded beyond the policies that are defined. This is your internal auditing, which is common for every organization. Similarly, you will have external auditing, which is mandatory for every organization financials to be approved at the end of the year. At the end of the year, your financials must be approved, authorized by the third party or the external auditing service. Normally, you call something called Big Four companies. Majorly, all the big companies will go for Big Four companies like your Deloitte, PwC, KPMG, and then EY. So these are all major players in your auditing. So that is why we call it as Big Four companies. And you have many other companies who will do the auditing. Any one auditing company will have to visit your organization. They will verify all your accounting. They will check all your debits, credits, all your bank statements, all the financial supporting documentation. Then they will approve that your accounting is correct. Now at this level, when you know that your accounting is validated, right from the beginning you need to keep accounting in your mind. If not, we will be practicing just for the sake of practicing. Because later on, tomorrow when you're actually on the ground, you need to remember that, okay, these points I am aware of. Otherwise, everything will come to you as a strange point, or you may be feeling that this is something that I am hearing for the first time. Such kind of a first time, such kind of strange things should be very, very limited for you. Most of the things or majority of the things you should at least have some basic idea, basic knowledge, so that you can confidently face the situation. If something is completely strange to you, you will go blank all of a sudden, your mind start not working, and you will not know what to do, what to talk. Then we may not be able to perform, you may not be able to create any impact in your job, in your interview. At the end of your interview, at the end of your job, you have to feel that yes, whatever I'm doing, I am convinced, I am satisfied. You need to have that job satisfaction. Or the other person should feel whatever you are doing is correct. I am convinced, I am okay with your work. In short, if somebody is telling no, whatever you are telling is wrong, whatever you are doing is wrong, it is not done like this, you do not know this one also, then you may feel some kind of inconvenient, or you may feel some kind of uncomfortableness why people are telling whatever I am doing is wrong. Because at the initial stage we may not be aware of certain basic points, but later on these basic points will create big problems to us. Because we cannot even tell that no, I do not know about it. You have to accept I do not know, we have to keep quiet. So certain situations we are not supposed to face in future. So that is possible only if you start your learning from accounting. Okay, so if you are talking about India, you may be having something called Indian accounting standards. And if you're talking about general, you have something called
IFRS.
common. In common, you are going to use IFRS. So one thing is that country specific, you will find one accounting principle, which we call it as local accounting principle or local accounting standards. And you have another accounting principle, another accounting standard, which is globally followed by all the organizations. That is nothing but your IFRS. Earlier, we used to use US GAAP for as a common accounting principle, but now most of the companies are opting IFRS. So we must know what is IFRS, what is GAAP. You don't need to know the definition, but at least you should know this is an accounting principle based on which companies will record their financials, based on which companies will produce their financial statements or financial reports. Now, if you're talking about financial statements, if you're talking about financial reports, there is a sequence. You cannot just like that pull out the financial reports as and when you want, the way you want. For financial reports, if I say financial reports, now these financial reports are nothing but reports that are going to tell you your financial result. Based on the financial reports, you are going to decide what is the financial result, whether you are making profit or you are making loss. How do you know whether you are making profit or whether you are making loss? So what are the financial reports that we need to prepare to make profit or loss calculation?
Trial balance, balance sheet, and P&L.
Right. So you need to prepare something called trial balance. You need to prepare something called profit and loss statement. Next one, you need to prepare something called balance sheet. Now, when you prepare a trial balance, is this mandatory to find out my financial status or it is optional? If I want to find out my profit or loss, is my TB mandatory or it is optional? I can ignore TB.
It's mandatory.
It is mandatory.
Right? Your trial balance is mandatory. Without a trial balance, you cannot start working on your financial reporting. Your financial reporting is straight away dependent on your trial balance. Your trial balance will give you your accounting accuracy, correct? Your accounting accuracy you are going to measure based on the trial balance. When you prepare a trial balance, what you are going to get? Your trial balance is supposed to show any balance, or your trial balance is supposed to show zero balance.
Zero balance.
Opening balances.
Your
Zero
trial
balance.
Equal debit and
balance is
credit
supposed to
balance.
show zero balance. Whatever the debits you have on the trial balance, whatever the credits you have on the trial balance, they must be equal. Let's say debit you have 100, credit you have 100. So debit balance means positive 100, credit balance means negative 100, correct? And if I look at my trial balance overall, I should get zero balance. If I am getting even 0.01, I will tell my trial balance is wrong. There should be no amount, not even 0.001 in your trial balance. It has to be 0.00. If it is not 0.00, your trial balance is wrong. If your trial balance is wrong, there is no point of preparing P&L, there is no point of preparing balance sheet. If my TB is wrong, my P&L is wrong. If my P&L is wrong, my balance sheet is wrong. Am I correct?
Yes.
Right? This is mandatory for every organization. If I am talking about a simple, basic, entry-level organization, if I talk about a very big corporate, are these three mandatory irrespective of the size of company, or they differ based on the company? Is there any exception, or this is mandatory for every organization?
This is mandatory.
This is mandatory. There is no exception for any organization. Whether you are a small company or you are a big company, you must follow this. When you know that you have to follow this, you have to know this from your accounting point of view. Is this trial balance, P&L, balance sheet SAP specific or accounting specific?
Accounting specific.
This is something called accounting specific. There is nothing new, or there is no new concept called TB, P&L, balance sheet in SAP. Whatever you do TB, P&L, balance sheet in your accounting, the same TB, P&L, balance sheet you need to bring it in SAP. In short, you are going to do your accounting in SAP. In short, you are going to do your accounting in SAP, which means if you do not know what is accounting, what are you going to do in SAP? Am I correct? In short, you are going to do accounting in SAP. If you do not know accounting, what will you do in SAP? Are we going to learn anything by doing settings? I've made settings, I've made all the configurations, but I do not know accounting. I'm not good at accounting. I'm not able to understand accounting. Can I validate whether my configuration is correct or not if I do not know accounting?
No.
No, sir.
I cannot validate whether my settings are correct or not. Now, when you're making any settings, when you're making any configuration on the system, you have to configure based on certain criteria, based on certain conditions, based on certain logics. Because first of all, who are you? If you are learning SAP FICO, yes, now you got a job. Who are you called as? You are called as SAP FICO consultant. Now, when you're talking about SAP FICO consultant, when you're talking about a consultant, are you going to work for yourself, or are you going to provide your services to another organization?
Services to another organization.
Provide your
We're
services.
providing the service to another organizations.
Right? So as a consultant, you're providing service to the another organization. Now, are you providing this service to the another organization for free of cost, or are you selling your services to the another organization?
Selling
Selling.
You're
services.
selling your service.
Right? We are selling our service to the another organization. When you are selling your service to another organization, which means you are receiving money or you are charging money from your client. The another organization, you call it as client. Correct? You are called as
Yes.
consultant. Your counterpart is called as client. Am I clear? I call you as consultant, and then I call the person for whom you are working as a client. Client is nothing but your counterpart. You are going to work for your client. When you are working for your client, you are going to provide your consulting services. Now, when you do the consulting service for your client, is it your choice or is it your client choice what to do? What is required?
Client's choice.
It is client choice or it is your choice?
Client choice.
Client choice.
Client's
It is
choice.
client choice. Clear? It is your client choice, not consultant choice. It is not consultant choice, it is purely client choice, which means whatever is your client choice. Your client choice is nothing but client requirement. Correct? Whatever we call it as client choice, whatever your client wants, it is called as your client requirement. Am I correct?
Yes.
So this is also called as business requirement. Correct? You call it as client requirement. You also call it as business requirement. If I do not know what is my client choice or what my client wants, what is their business requirement, can I go and provide my services?
No.
If I do not know what do they want, I cannot provide my services because I don't know what they want. Now, in short, before you provide any services, first point is to understand their requirement. Correct?
Yes.
First point is to understand their requirement. That is nothing but your client requirement. In short, your business requirement. If you know the business requirement, based on the business requirement, you are going to apply your consulting knowledge. You are going to apply your consulting skill set. You are going to apply your consulting experience to provide the solutions, to provide the services. If you do not know this, what are you going to do? Can we do something if I do not know this?
No.
No, we can't.
You can do nothing if you do not know your client requirement, if you do not know business requirement. Now, when you are in a project, you will automatically get client requirement. It is not possible for you to do anything without client requirement. Correct? If you're in a project, there is somebody who is called as a client. There is somebody for whom you are providing your services. They will interact with you. They will communicate with you. They will tell you this is what is our requirement. Please set up the system to meet my requirement or to make sure that this process is working fine. So there is somebody when you're in a project, when you're in an organization. So that comes into picture when you have experience. Correct? You know what to talk to your client. You know how to understand your business requirement only if you have the experience. Am I correct? Because if you have experience,
Yes.
you will be working in an organization, you have a practical live client, and they will tell you what they want, and they will be explaining you this is what our requirement. Accordingly, you will be working. But now, do you have experience?
No.
No.
Now we do not have experience. Now we do not have any client who gives us the requirement. Now, on what basis are we supposed to learn? Can we learn blindly whatever comes in our mind? Whatever you see on the document, can I straight away start practicing blindly? Will that help me?
No.
No, that is not going to help you because that is not the way that you are going to work when you are in a project. That is not the way that you are going to work when you are in a project. When you know that there will be somebody who is going to explain the requirement, and there is somebody who is going to validate what you are doing, there is somebody who is going to approve, who is going to confirm whatever you have done is correct. So there is no point that you can do whatever you want or you can commit mistakes because there are people to monitor, to test, to evaluate what you are doing. Correct? When you're in a project, there are people to evaluate, to measure what you're doing. But when you're learning, when you're practicing, is there somebody?
No.
When you're practicing, there is nobody, it's all you. Then you have to play three roles when you're learning. You have to play how many roles? You have to play three roles. You have to play three roles. Role number one, from business point of view. Role number two, consulting point of view. Role number three, user point of view. These 3 points you have to, or these 3 roles you have to play when you're learning. Only then you will be able to understand what is SAP FICO and you will be able to get benefited with your learning. If not, you will end up learning SAP FICO which will not help you in future. If not, you will end up learning SAP FICO which is not going to help you in future. When I say in future, that is your interview, that is your project. Because in company you are going to work at this level. In company you are going to work at this level. You are at the top, you are at the bottom, you are at the middle. Where are you in an organization, in a real environment? You are in the middle. Whatever you do, before you there is somebody, after you there is somebody.
Yes.
There is someone above you, there is someone below you, which means whatever you do, you need to get the requirement from your business. If there is no requirement from the business, you are going to do nothing. Whatever you do based on the business requirement, you have to get it tested, you have to get it approved, confirmed by the user. Which means it is not your choice, I do my work and then I am done. No. You need to satisfy your business, you need to satisfy your user. Sometimes whatever business wants, user may not be okay with it, user may not be happy with it. Sometimes whatever user wants, business may not be happy with it. Am I correct?
Yes.
Sometimes with your business decisions, your users are not happy. Sometimes with your client decisions, your business is not happy. As a consultant, it is your choice. It is your responsibility to make sure your business is convinced, your user is also convinced. So you need to make sure you meet the requirement, you meet the expectation of your business, you also meet the expectation of your users equally. Now, is it something that we can straight away configure and then be relaxed, be chilled out? Or there is something which is beyond your configuration settings?
Yes.
There's something beyond that. It's not about doing a setting in system. If it is about doing a setting in system, you can learn SAP FICO in 60 days. You can learn SAP FICO in 45 days. You can learn SAP FICO in 90 days also. If only this one, if you want. If you wanted to see only from consulting point of view, you can learn within 45 days, you can learn within 60 days, you can learn within 90 days. You have different tracks. Normal track, fast track, regular track, there are different tracks available in the market. But everything may not take you in the right track. Most of the things will take you in the wrong track. Because you do not know, you will just start your journey, but you will end up landing at nowhere. Right? Because you're only thinking from this point of view, you don't even think about there is something which is called business point of view, there is something which is called as your user point of view. And how do we see it and how do we understand it? If we understand, what will be the approach? If you do not understand, what will be the approach? There is no rule that you have to know everything. There is no rule that you should be aware of everything. Am I correct?
Yes.
This is consulting is something like your R&D, research and development. It's not that you will be doing the regular work every day, you do the same thing. It is not that way. You get different clients, different business processes. You will meet different users. You will be receiving different kind of errors. So it's a new challenge every day. But to understand all this, you need to have that consulting mindset developed, consulting thought process developed. If you're seeing a business process, how you are looking at it, how you are understanding is the first point. Second one, if there is a problem, if there is an error, if there is an issue, don't get panic. First, try to understand what is that error, where that error is coming, what they're doing to get that error. Later on, you think about how do I solve this error, why the error is happening. It's all secondary. First point, try to understand the problem. Most of the times what we will do, we don't try to understand the problem, then we start thinking about providing a solution. Correct? We don't try to understand the problem clearly, we start thinking about solution. These kind of things will create troubles for us in the real environment when you are in a job especially. Now what you need to do to come out of all these points, to come out of all these scenarios or situations? So there are different ways how you will learn SAP FICO. You have different options open in the market. Because learning SAP FICO is open in the market. It is your choice what you are choosing, where you are choosing, why you are choosing, how you are choosing. Make sure you are convinced with it. Why I am telling make sure you are convinced with it. Later on you are not supposed to feel guilt. Later on you are not supposed to feel regret. Why I am telling later on you are not supposed to feel guilt. Later on you are not supposed to feel regret, because in general, whatever you learn in the reality, whatever you see in your job, how far you can relate these two is what you have to gauge at the beginning itself.
Is it just me?
Whether
Can anybody
whatever,
hear you?
sorry, Okay, so we need to make sure whatever we are learning and whatever is happening in the reality. In short, if you are in an interview, if you are in a project, whatever happens there, whatever I am learning, whatever I am practicing, is it relevant? Is it relevant? I am able to relate my learning with something that is happening in a project, something that they are questioning in the interview or not. This evaluation should happen on a regular basis. When I say on a regular basis, you're not supposed to evaluate your learning at the end of the course. You're not supposed to evaluate your learning when you're in the interview, when you're getting the job. At that time, you can do nothing. You have lost everything by then. You would have forgot whatever you've practiced. You would have lost the interest. There are different reasons you cannot bring back your time, whatever you've invested during your training. So we need to, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we
Okay,
can.
if somebody is not able to hear, make sure your internet connection or try to rejoin. Okay, we need to make sure whatever you are learning is fair enough, is something which is similar, that is performed or that is used in the real environment. For which, what you need to do right from the beginning. Right from the beginning, as I said, this is open market. FICO learning is open market. You are free to learn wherever you want. You are free to learn wherever you want, the way you want. There are different options available in the market. But make sure you evaluate or you check your learning. You're not supposed to forget this. You're not supposed to forget this. Now, to do this, you need to have connections of people who are learning SAP FICO, people who learnt SAP FICO. You need people who are working on SAP FICO. You need to have people who are learning SAP FICO. You need to have people, or you need to know people who learnt SAP FICO. You need to know people who are working on SAP FICO, so that you can check whatever you are learning. And you should feel more or less, yes, this is how we do it. Yes, this is how this works. Will that give you confidence? Or if somebody is telling, no, this is not the way we do it, will that give you confidence? If somebody
No.
says, yes, this is how I am working, then you feel comfortable, you feel confident. Correct? Huh?
Yeah.
And you can also check with people, end users in SAP FICO. You need to have these kind of people also in your network, in your circle, or at least try to interact, try to find one or two people. You will definitely find somebody. If you are planning to learn SAP FICO, these are all the prerequisites that you must do. Otherwise, you will end up getting nowhere. Your course will get completed. You will not learn anything. So there are different reasons why we don't learn, or why we will not get job after learning SAP FICO. There are different factors, which I will reveal in the upcoming sessions one by one. But this is something that you need to do from your side. This is mandatory for everybody, no exception. Whether you learn from me, you learn from anywhere, this is mandatory. Because you have to know what you're learning is correct. You have to get convinced that yes, whatever I'm learning is going to help me in my project. Whatever I'm learning is going to help in my project, in my interview. Otherwise, there are few things which will happen currently in the market, which is called as proxy, backdoor. There is one more thing called on job support. Anybody heard these points? Anybody heard this? Something called proxy, something called backdoor, something called on job support.
No,
Yes.
I won't.
Right? Now, normally when somebody talks about proxy, what they mean is, let's say I have completed my SAP FICO course. Please be on mute if somebody is not talking. Let's say I've completed my SAP FICO course. I think somebody is not on mute. Okay, let's say I've completed my SAP FICO course, I've prepared my resume, I uploaded my resume, and I'm able to get the interview calls. I've attended, assume that 2-3 interviews I've attended, but I felt after attending the interviews, the questions that they're asking are something which is very crazy, which is very weird. For the first time, I'm listening to certain questions. So whatever the questions that they are asking, I don't even know what to answer. I'm completely blank listening to their questions. I'm unable to answer. Even if I'm able to speak something, I'm getting rejected everywhere. So at that time, you will find an options in the market who will do proxy. When I say proxy, your interview will get scheduled. Somebody will attend interview on your behalf. Even though it is the video call, still people can manipulate your video call. They will do the proxy interview. Still they'll do proxy interview. Now for this, you will have to pay more than 5 times of your SAP FICO training cost. Minimum 3 times, and minimum 3 to 5 times of your training cost you have to pay for your proxy interview. Point number 2, you have backdoor. This is something that you will attend the interview for namesake, or there will be no interview at all. You will have to pay some amount which is more than 10 times to your training cost, in short, whatever the CTC, whatever the salary that they are going to offer, on that salary they are going to charge 40 to 50%. Whatever the salary that they are going to offer, they will be charging 40 to 50% as the services, as the service charge for giving you the backdoor job. Okay, and those people are not responsible once you step into the job. Day one, they are responsible. Their responsibility is only to make sure they will provide you the offer letter. They will send you the company on day one. The moment you step inside the company, you do not know who they are, they do not know who you are. Connection between both of you is cut. If you call them, their number will be switched off, something like that. They're not responsible. These are all the terms and conditions which are revealed at the beginning itself. This is point number 2. Point number 3, on-job support. This is nothing but you got the job somehow. How you got the job? I don't want to comment, but you got the job. Now you are unable to work on your job on a daily basis. You find whatever the work that they are assigning, whatever the tickets that they are assigning, you are unable to work, you are unable to solve. What you feel? You feel that somebody would be there with me to help. You find these supports, you find these services available in the market. Who will charge you minimum 1 time or 0.75 to 0.8 times of your training cost on a monthly basis. Every month you have to pay. Every month you have to pay, whether they support, whether they do not support, 1 month advance. 1 month advance, which is non-refundable, and every month you need to pay the amount to get the on-job support. Now, why all these things are happening in the market? It's all because of one reason. You did not learn SAP FICO properly. You do not understand business process properly. You are unable to understand this. This is the point number 1. Agree with me? Whatever I highlighted in blue is the reason for all this. Agree with me?
Yes.
This is the reason for everything. This is the only one reason, a single line reason for all these things that are happening in the market. This is the one line reason which will lead you to nowhere. Now, why I am telling you this point at the beginning? Because I want you to make sure that you pay attention, you learn seriously, you get job without these points. First point that you need to do is keep these points out of your mind. Before you keep these points out of mind, you need to know what are this. You need to know what are this, why people will go for this. Now, you learned SAP FICO, you are not able to clear your interview. You are depending on somebody to attend your interview illegally or by doing some kind of proxy, which means you completed your training, you are not confident about clearing your interview. Is that knowledge going to help you? You're not able to talk for 30 minutes to an interviewer. And are we sure that we are going to survive once we get into the job? Yes, no?
Not at all.
You will not be able to survive if you are unable to clear your interview. Point number one, if you are unable to clear your interview, there are people in the market from both the sides. There are candidates who wants to go for proxy interview. There are candidates who are providing proxy services. Right? No customer, no supplier. You have customers in the market, you have suppliers also in the market. So you cannot blame customer, you cannot blame supplier. It's their choice, but you don't go in that way. Second one, backdoor. There are people who attend interviews, but there are people who are scared of attending interviews because of various reasons. They're not confident about their subject, but somehow they want to get the job. They will make the amount, they'll pay the amount, the huge amount, let's say 10 times, 8 times, 7 times of your training cost. They will get into the job, and then once they get into the job, either point number one or point number two, you have no confidence. You need somebody to help you in your day-to-day work, for which you will have to opt on-job support. So everywhere you have to invest more than your training cost. And when there is an option within your training cost, you can gain everything, you can learn everything, but we do not think from that point of view. We do not think practically. So as a result, we will end up doing these things, or you will end up becoming a victim. When I say you will end up becoming a victim, I mean you learnt SAP, you're not able to get the job. You learnt SAP, you're not able to get the job, you're not able to talk confidently, you're not able to explain the processes confidently, and whatever you're telling, people are telling, no, this is wrong. And you do not know what to do, you do not know whom to approach, you do not know whom to speak, you do not know what to do. Then the only option is you need to be a dropout. The only option is you need to become a dropout, that you have to leave SAP, you have to get back to what you were doing before. Now, why these points I am telling? In the market, you get only 10% people who learn SAP will get job. Remaining 90%, you will come to know in the upcoming sessions. What happens to the remaining 90% people, you will come to know in the upcoming sessions. But there are different reasons, there are different points that we have to understand. It's not about I choose that somebody is telling me that SAP FICO is very good, you get good salary, you will be into IT field and all. Don't fall under those kind of traps. Somebody's got a job, then that doesn't mean that you also will get a job. You have to think from your capabilities, you have to think from your skill set, you have to think where you are, from where you are learning. Do you have somebody who can guide you on SAP properly? You have your friend circle who can tell you what you are doing is right or wrong. If you are all alone, you are blindly going and then joining an institute, practicing on your own without any guidance, is not going to take you to get a job. SAP FICO is something where you need guidance. Right guidance is required, right information is required. Only then it is possible for you to achieve your goal. Otherwise, you will fall under 90%. You will fall under 90%. This is 100% fact. This is 100% raw fact that you have to believe. If you don't believe, I want you to talk to the people in the market who learnt SAP FICO already. If you do not know anybody, try find out somebody who learnt SAP FICO already. Take the feedback, talk to them, discuss, try to understand the different points, market, ground realities.
Can I speak?
Yes.
No, like what if we learn end to end? Means like if we have hands-on experience.
Repeat it again.
No, no. So you meant to say like it will be difficult to manage without the support.
It will be difficult to manage without support
No.
for
You meant
the
to say
people.
that you are telling that it will be difficult to manage things, right?
Right.
Okay.
It will be difficult to manage if you are not if you are not evaluating what you are learning at the beginning.
Okay.
Because whatever you are learning, you will be practicing. But what you have practiced, is it right or wrong? Do we know? Because what your focus is only on the config, whatever you are learning, correct?
Yes.
But how you do that configuration, who will give you the requirement, how that is tested, whether it is right or wrong? Are we thinking from that point when you are learning, when you are practicing? Or we are straight
Practically
away
no.
looking? What we normally do, you look at a document which is called as a material in the market. You look at a material wherein you will find step-by-step screenshot along with some predefined content in it. Let's say you're creating something. Let's say you're creating something in which field number 1 contains value ABCD. When it is ABCD in your material, you are going to practice with ABCD or XYZ, correct?
Yes.
Do you know why it is mentioned ABCD there? We do not know why it is mentioned ABCD there. And do you have any idea why you're writing XYZ when you're practicing? We do not know. But when you save your entries based on that document, based on that material, you will be able to save without any error, correct?
Yes.
You will not get any errors, but you will be able to save. But is this how you are going to work when you're in a project? How do you decide whether to take XYZ or whether to take 1, 2, 3? Who will decide it? This is something that you have to understand, right? You're getting my point? When we
Yeah.
know these points, you will be able to manage when you are in the work, when you are in the project independently. At least you can think, you can imagine, okay, this could be the reason I have to ask these people for this information. I cannot decide on my own. But otherwise, what we will do, because it becomes a practice, whatever you follow from the beginning, that becomes a practice, and it is very difficult to change that practice. Correct? Agree with me? Because you get used to follow the document, whatever is there. Because the moment I tell you to practice this one, you will ask me, please provide the document, please provide me the material with screenshots. And tomorrow, anything that you're working, even when you're in a project, we will end up thinking from the same point of view. Do I get any document, any material is there, any notes is there? But instead, we have to start thinking, what is the requirement? How do I do it? If there is no material, if there is no document, on what approach I need to take to complete this work? That is something that we have to develop, right? That thought process, that thinking ability is what you need to learn as a consultant. Am I correct?
Yes.
Because you will be working as an individual contributor in any project, in any organization that you work. There is nothing called a teamwork in SAP consulting. Whatever you're working, only you will be working on it. Let's say you are a FICO consultant, I am a FICO consultant on the same project for the same client. Whatever I work, you will not be working on that. Whatever you work, I will not be working on it. Am I correct? It's not that we
Yes.
both will be collectively working on the same object. That is not going to happen. Either I have to raise my hand, I am unable to do it. Please assign this to somebody else. Or you have to raise your hand, I am not able to do it. I don't know this. Will that sound good when you're in a project? To say that I don't know, I cannot work on this. I need material, I need a document. All right, at least you should give that confidence to your project manager or to your team member or to your client that yes, you can understand, you can do it. They need your confidence only. They need that comfort zone that you are providing to them. That comes only when you are confident. So your confidence will come only when you are feeling that whatever you are learning is valid. For that, no other option, you have to verify whether you are learning from me or you are learning from any other, because the option is open. It's an open market, you can learn from anywhere, but end of the day it is your career, end of the day it is your learning, and you have to be responsible for it. Am I correct? Agree with me?
Yes.
So for that to happen, no other option, you have to put certain efforts from your side also, at least on the evaluation or the checking what you're learning is right or wrong. But most of the people, the mistake that they do is they don't do this thing. They blindly follow whatever your trainer is telling, which you do not have to do it. You have to verify what you're learning is right or wrong. Because in the market, if you see, most of the people you will find as victims. On SAP FICO, you will find a lot of victims in the market. Many people say that I also learned SAP FICO, but I could not get a job. I left it. I'm back to my normal job now. There are people who already complete SAP training. They will get retrained again. So when we understand the ground realities, market realities, we automatically get a different mindset. We get that seriousness. We get that interest. We know what to do, how to do things. So your approach right from the beginning should be different. Because tomorrow, when you're in the market, you have to feel that confidence that yes, I can work. Even if I do not know, I have that confidence that I can work it. I'll do something, but I'll work on it. I know how to think, I know how to experiment on the system. These points, if you're able to gain these points, if you're able to understand, nobody can stop you. This is what is required for you to become a consultant rather than the configuration. Because as you see here, to do the configuration, you have no authority. You need somebody to provide you what to be done. You need somebody to confirm what you have done is correct. But when we practice, these three things will not come into our mind. So we will be playing left and right with this point alone, correct? You create different company codes, you create different entries, different postings, but there is no requirement. You need to have a valid requirement, which should always be called as business requirement. Since we are learning SAP FICO, our business requirement is always from accounting point of view or from finance point of view. So when it is accounting, when it is finance, it always contains an accounting entry, correct? You're talking something about accounting point of view, finance point of view, it contains monetary impact or financial impact, which means which account to be debited, which account to be credited, and how it has to be reported, in which report I have to show this. These points, if you are able to understand, yes, whatever you are learning is correct. Because the way your thinking is right. If your thinking is right, everything will be automatically get set right. Takes a little time, but you will be fine, you will be on track. But if you are missing out certain base points from the beginning itself, we will end up doing the same mistake. We will be doing the configuration, but we do not know what is what, why we are doing it. Clear, right? Now, when I put these numbers here, let me put another number. It takes up to 30 days for anybody to understand SAP. It takes up to 30 days for anybody to understand SAP, which is called as practical SAP or real-time SAP. If you are more attracted towards real-time SAP or practical SAP, it takes 30 days to understand SAP. Once you understand SAP, that is where your learning starts. Because initially it's all bits and pieces. When I say it's all bits and pieces, whatever the configuration that you do at the beginning, it is all bits and pieces. You do not know why you are doing that configuration unless and until you see one practical output of it. Unless and until you do the practical output of it, you do not understand why you are doing these settings. Once you understand these things, it will take approximately 1 month. This is maximum time I am telling. You can learn this within a week, you can learn this within 10 days, depending on your time, depending on your effort. But on an average, for anybody, it takes maximum 30 days, in short, up to 30 days. After this only, your learning time count should begin. If your course is 3 months, your 3 months should start from 31st day. First 1 month, whatever you do is only to make sure you get an idea, you get an overview. Straight away, right from day one, you are not going to understand, you are not going to say that I learnt this, I know this. That is wrong. If you are going with that approach, that is wrong. Your learning will always start only when you understand what is SAP. It's not about definition of SAP, R3 structure, what is S4HANA, S/4, who invented SAP, when SAP was invented, what modules are there. These are not relevant to you as of now. Because tomorrow you are going to work on FICO. Right from the day one, you have to be on the job. The moment you join, as of now, in the current market, you have to be in a position to perform right from the day one that you join in the market. Am I correct? The moment you join, people will start assigning you the work. Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
So for that to happen, first you have to understand SAP. So practically, if we both talk, within 90 days, I cannot say you will learn SAP, you will be able to join an organization, you will be able to work on SAP. Not possible. I openly tell this is not possible. Because I am telling it takes approximately 1 month for you to understand what is SAP practically. Only after that you will be starting your learning. When you are learning, you are understanding. Whatever you are learning, you are able to explain to the other person. Otherwise, you are knowing. If you want to learn SAP, it starts after a month. If you want to know SAP, it starts from day one. So within 45 days, within 60 days, within 90 days, I'll show everything. But you will know about what I am showing. But you will learn about what I am showing only when you start counting from after 30 days or after a month. Clear?
Yes.
If you want to know SAP, you will know right from day one itself. Day one, I'll tell you create a company code. Day one, I'll create 3-4 steps, and within a month, I'll complete 30% of your syllabus. But practically, if we both talk, out of that 30%, you would not have understand anything. You don't even know why you are doing this. By the time you understand why you are doing, initial step, you are completing your 50% of course. This is practically, if you talk, this is what the reality is. By the time you start understanding your core sense, you will be left all alone to go through everything by recordings, or you need to depend on somebody, or you need to get retrained. These situations are not supposed to happen, and it's your responsibility. It is in your hands what you are going to do, how you are going to take decision. Because I cannot create any influence on you. I have no right to create influence on you. What I can do is I can only tell what you need to know before you learn. Later on, it is your choice where you want to learn. Right? Any questions so far? So remaining part I'll continue in the next session. So initial days we will be talking about generic facts, generic things about SAP. After that, we will start our actual learning, wherein we will be starting from the beginning onwards. But before that, I'll tell you different things, different facts about SAP. This I call it as overview sessions. I'm only going to tell you what is SAP, how things work in SAP, what you need to do while learning SAP. After that, the option is left to you, whether you want to learn from me, whether you want to learn from somewhere else. It is your option. It is an open choice to anybody. But it has to be with your by thinking, by understanding ground reality, by doing your own research, you have to take a call. But later on, I don't want anybody to feel regret that I have done a mistake by joining or by learning SAP FICO. Clear? All right, let me stop this recording.